everybody, I'm back. I'm back on VCTV, Venture Capital TV, as from La Token, as all of us know, to discuss why venture capitalists are investing into this asset class. This is not a new asset class, but yes, obviously it has gained more interest from VC community over the years, especially in 2021. So let's just hear it from the experts in the field and take their views to understand why this asset class is now attracting the very tough VCs. Okay. Before that, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the sort of regional director of La Token. Not sort of, I am. So I'm based here in Singapore. I host VCTV sort of regularly. Yes, that's true. And I'm back here on another episode today. I had another episode covering this earlier this day. And I love VCTV. Let's have a quick round of intro of the speakers today. And here we go. Hi, Adrian. Welcome back again. And we have a new speaker from Netherlands, Dominic. I like to go first with our newest speaker, who's joined us for the very first time on VCTV. That's Dominic. Over to you, Dominic. Am I pronouncing your name correctly in the first place?
Sunny, some people call me Dominic, or you can just call me Dom, D-O-M. That's maybe the easiest thing to call me, just to keep it simple.
Yeah, sure. Dom is easy for me. Welcome to VCTV, Dom. And let's have a quick round of intro, like what do you do, which company you're representing today on VCTV, and what's the involvement with crypto? And yeah.
So certainly. So maybe just by way of background, I've been involved in technology and investing since mid-90s, listed a few companies on the Australian Stock Exchange. My private investment company is called Dominet, D-O-M-I-N-E-T, dominet.com. And it's one of the founding shareholders and investors in Banksa, Banksa.com, which is a listed payment service provider for the crypto space, as well as Apollo Capital and a new startup called Earnity. So basically investing my own capital as well as third-party capital into different ventures in the crypto area. More from a traditional equity perspective as opposed to purely tokens.
Right.
But tokens are something that I'm looking at much more closely these days. And we can talk about the hybrid equity token type raisings, but also one of the funds that I'm co-founded called Apollo Capital out of Australia. It's invested in many projects and many tokens over the last 3 years.
Wow, fantastic. I think I'm loving this investment in tokens. So Dom, again, welcome to VCTV. We're going to have a good time today. Okay, we have our regular speaker, Adrian. And Adrian is somewhere outside because he's not at his usual Google space. And we hear some background noise. So Adrian, where are you today?
Hello, everybody. I'm in a vaccinating center, actually. I did my second dose of vaccine. I will be out in a few minutes from here. I will wear the mask for this show. Sorry for that. I'm Adrian Niculescu, serial entrepreneur and investor. I'm involved in few projects. Cloudcoin Consortium. Cloudcoin is a post-blockchain digital currency. That one is decentralized autonomous organization, and also the media and education blockchain and crypto project Coin Cruncher. Happy to be here today, contribute. It's an amazing topic.
Perfect. Sure. If you're outside and you're obviously obliged to wear a mask, that's okay. Perfectly fine. We can hear you very clearly. That's very important. Okay. So today's topic is about, where's the topic? It's not there. But anyways, another topic. So it's about why VCs are investing into crypto space. Okay. If it's just two of us, no, it's three of us. I think Dr. Srikanth has just joined us today, joined us now for the show. Okay, let me just change the format. Layout of the show, layout of the StreamYard sort of platform. Dr. Srikanth, let's have a quick round of intro. I was just about to ask questions, but let's just have your intro.
I'm so sorry. Dominic, I'm so sorry. I made you wait. My apologies for the viewers of VCTV as well. I am Dr. Shrikant Patsarthi. I act as a legal counsel for the Forbes 500, and I'm a regular so-called expert speaker on issues pertaining to emerging markets, and looking forward to have a interesting conversation as to why VCs are investing in and what VCs are investing in, the why and the what. So let me try and answer those today. Back to you. Thanks for seeing me.
So that's super. Okay, I just want to quickly go through this. But this is. I just wanted to show the numbers because it's coming from Bloomberg. VC venture capital makes a record 17 billion bet on crypto wall. This was 18 June 2021 news. So I just wanted to start off with this, which means that a lot of money are getting. How to stop this? Stop screen. So we've seen billions of money getting poured into this space. So Dom, sorry, I'd like to start with you first. Why suddenly, is it the pandemic? Is it the lockdown? Why suddenly do we see the interest from VCs into this space? Dom, over to you.
Thank you. That's a good question. I think if you just take a step back and look at the whole crypto space, it's very much it's growing. It is moving away from the domain of the nerds, and I put up my hand and say I'm one of those nerds from the mid-90s to really being much more high net worth investor and institutionally focused. And because of that, it's only really it only makes sense that VCs and the more, let's call it, serious end of the market are starting to pay greater attention to the crypto space. And that's just purely because cryptocurrency or the whole digital asset space is growing up and it's maturing. And not only have we seen companies listing on major exchanges like Coinbase, like Banxa, but also VCs are becoming much more comfortable in investing in tokens as well. And if 3 or 4 years ago you would have spoken to a VC about investing in a token, they would have thrown you out of their office. And now when you approach them and say, hey, I've got an equity deal, their question is, how about the tokens? Where are my tokens? So it's interesting how the whole tide has shifted. But for me, this is just an important and interesting part of the cycle. We're obviously talking about cryptocurrency, but if you go back 5 or 10 years, particularly in the Canadian and some other markets, there was significant investments in cannabis, which is a brand new industry. And you go back, decades and decades, and it was mining and biotech as well. So I'm not surprised that VCs are spending and investing much more focus and time. It's really just an extension of technology. I mean, that's ultimately what we're building in terms of the infrastructure.
Yeah, I really like the way you said if you just approach VCs like 2 years from now, like not now, I mean, 2 years back, you'd be kicked out of their office if you went to their office for sure. I know what you mean. Thank you, Tom. Dr. Shrikant, we've been losing Adrian on and off. We understand he's outside. Dr. Shrikant.
Dominic, unfortunately, you would definitely not be kicked out, but I would definitely have a cup of coffee with you. But insofar as the investments or cryptocurrency is concerned, I don't think my family offices at least have evolved in terms of their adoption of understanding of crypto, I would say. And the reason being, and I'll reason it out for you. A is that the family offices typically have these very, very senior counsels who counsel them, and I happen to be one of those counsels. And not everyone is technologically savvy, particularly to understand how a crypto works. They have hearsay evidences in terms of some other nerd, in Dominic's words, has made a 100x return on a particular asset. And they are getting a single-digit return on their investments, and that is something that is bothering them. but unfortunately they do not have. Okay, so they do not have the I would say the uh, the capacity or the bandwidth from an appetite perspective to bear the risk appetite that a crypto tags along with it. So I believe that India as a market is is a large market, and imagine a billion plus people using crypto as an asset class to make their daily payments in terms of go to a 7-Eleven and possibly buy something. Imagine a gallon of milk is being bought by a crypto, and imagine how the prices, how a physical currency would actually be difficult once crypto has kicked in. Even now it's difficult. You know, I can just walk out of my office and have a cup of coffee with absolutely no wallet requirement. I just need my phone, and in some instances, I don't even need my phone. I can just give them my phone number, and it gets deducted automatically. So what I'm trying to say over here is, from a crypto point of view, we are looking at. Let me turn on my hat, not as a nerd, but as a professor. And the professor inside me who has dealt with economics is telling me that the moment I have crypto, I would say a gallon of milk is 0.00000001 BTC. Then I imagine what that 0.0001 BTC would be tomorrow, and would the gallon of milk price actually change? And that's a very dangerous indicator for a person who doesn't understand crypto. So I think from a grassroots perspective, there is a lot of, I would say, ambiguity insofar as crypto is concerned. So I think what we have done as councils of family offices is that we have at least introduced the concept of blockchain, so that at some point in 3 or 4 years, maybe we'll reach a stage where crypto is still considered to be an asset class to be reckoned with. And is my audio better now? No.
Yes, we can hear you very well, Dr. Shrikant. I think you're wearing the economist hat now, and I think the way you explained the milk and the crypto connections, I think, yeah, I mean, if I was not in this industry, probably I would be thinking on those lines as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Shrikant. So Dom, I think Dr. Shrikant, obviously, he represents many family offices, and family offices are very conservative. So when it comes to a volatile asset like crypto, so it's a bit tricky to invest without understanding. So Dom, what do you think? How did that mindset change happen? Because ICOs, as we know, are the thing of the past, and the IOs where the fundraising happens on an exchange, right? So I gather that more and more VCs are now taking part in private sales, IDOs, IOs, that gets conducted on an obviously licensed, regulated exchange. How did that shift happen? Because you are deep down into that space.
I think first and foremost, I think the whole ICO hype of 2017 was driven by, ultimately, I think, driven by greed. And my view is, and I know I'm going to be very unpopular for saying this, but I think most of the ICOs and companies that were raising money at that point were, I'm not going to say it on a public channel, but were basically not very good coins, or the coins were not used for their intended purposes, if I can just be very politically correct in terms of what I'm saying. And I think those at the industry know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. So we had that, and the whole notion of ICOs basically became a dirty word. I think the technology and the capability was actually there, but I think the bad actors got involved. Yeah. I think what subsequently happened is, VCs saw that, and putting my own sort of VC hat on, I shied away from that, and there were a very small number of projects that I invested in at that particular point in time, because it was actually very difficult to tell, who were the good guys and who were the bad, not so good guys in the space. If I fast forward to where we are today, I personally, I'm always a big fan of a hybrid approach, and what I'm starting to see more and more are companies approaching me that don't just have a token, but they've also got an equity raise as well. And so combining an equity raise, which the VC world, the high net worth investors and family offices are very accustomed to, and effectively marrying that with a token, a utility token, is really a next new wave. And as I mentioned in my intro, more and more, I give an example, and I say this because I've been, I guess, in the sort of firing line, raising money for Banksa, and there's another asset company, Earnity, that I'm involved in as well. And one of the questions that we get is, well, you're raising equity, how about the token? Or if you're raising the token, where's the equity component? And I think packaging it up, which basically gives investors 2 bites of the cherry. And typically, if you're investing in equity from a private company perspective, that equity will be usually locked up for quite a period of time. While the token, if they do things right, there will be an active market. And so that will allow an investor to come in and out of that particular, I'm not going to say stock, it's not an equity, or let's call it a token. But once again, if I just take a step back, I think this just opens up, and this is a much broader conversation. I'm a big believer in the tokenization of everything. I think ultimately all key assets will end up being tokenized in some way, shape or form. So as Dr. Srikanth talked about, going into a 7-Eleven and buying a Coca-Cola, I can basically make a few clicks on my phone and buy a piece of the artwork, through an NFT, or buy not one share of Apple or Berkshire Hathaway, buy a fraction of a share that's effectively tokenized. And I think that is ultimately where the market is going, with the whole long-term intention of democratizing finance, and giving every single person, whether you are sitting in an office tower in New York, or you're laying on the beach in Bali, or ploughing the fields of Rwanda, you will have access to not only the same information, but also access to the same financial tools and products that sophisticated investors have. And that's why I'm so passionate about the space.
Great. In line with what you just said, equity plus token, Dr. Srikanth, I'm going to come to you, but Jerome had just mentioned just written here that sound from you is difficult to hear. So probably, is it the new mic, I guess? I don't know. But we can figure that out. I just want to share something quickly in lines of what Tom just said. Okay. So I was just looking at this, one of the tokens which is really popular, which is Mina. We all know that. I mean, Dom, you know that, right? So basically, this is coming from O1 Labs, LCC, or a VC fund, and that's what they have raised so far. So implied prices per Mina token, are you saying is a mix of tokens plus equity? So you can see we have seed, Series A. It's just a VC. It's just a VC concept. So which is exactly what, Tom, you just mentioned. I just want to show my viewers. So if you see, the lockup periods are there, and this gives me more comfort, So basically, if we are doing this, following the steps of a VC model of investing into a crypto project, what I want to say, this as an investor is going to give me more comfort in investing as well. So that's just a quick.
And just one point, and one of the things that I've seen in the space, unfortunately, is where people will, or companies will cloak a token up, sell it as if it's a security, and it really, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And one of the things that I think for all budding entrepreneurs out there is, if it's a token, it needs to be a bona fide token. And I think that is a bit of a minefield for some. And from a VC perspective, one of the things that I look for is, do they have appropriate legal opinions in respective jurisdictions that basically confirm that this is a token. Like, equity is equity. It's covered under securities law globally. Everyone's very, very clear. But when it comes to a token, is it a token or is it a security? And I know one of the things that VCs will look for are, is it bona fide token? And that's just not the company saying it is, but an external party confirming from a legal perspective that it is in fact a token.
Yeah, so we have seen STOs, we have seen security tokens. I mean, this is nothing new, right, Dom? I mean, as you rightly said, tokenizing everything is the future. Even I agree to that. But STOs, security tokens, have been around for long, and we have seen some STOs in the past as well. They're not as popular as IEOs, which is the utility token or the token, just the token. But they have been around. And again, as you rightly said, SEC comes into play, right? When there's anything to do with securities. I'll come to Adrian now. He's back. Adrian, you back? Can we please hear from you to see if we can really hear? Okay. We just hear some background noise, anyways. Dr. Shrikant. So in terms of, as Dom said. So Adrian, can you hear me?
Yes, I didn't hear the question. Sorry.
Okay, so here's the question. We were just discussing about how VCs like to invest. Dom just said it's not only tokens, it's tokens plus equity, right? We have seen IOs, we have seen ICOs. Now it's more like a private sale, right? Where the VCs are getting involved in the process as well. So would you like to share your perspectives on this type of investment model?
Dominic actually touched a very good point, because everybody putting some money in coins or tokens, saying that, okay, I'm an investor, but most of these assets are utility tokens, so are not stocks. We are not talking about equity, are not regulated, and many of them are not even backed by companies. So we have to be very, very careful where we are placing the bets. The STOs, they didn't take off as everybody was expecting. Maybe they were ahead of their time. And if we are looking at the market, the tokenization of stocks really needs to be regulated. Binance started some efforts, but they closed this gate for the time being, because it's not like everybody can start this, and it's very well to be regulated. With my involvement in the venture capital world, I always value equity. So I said, okay, I want to have a stake in that company, because if I only have tokens, I don't know, the tokens may vanish, but the equity will remain if that company will decide to issue, let's say, another token or do something else. Are less volatile, and you are with the skin in the game. But if we are looking at the models, actually, the tokens start to behave like early versions of stock, and the line between them, between stock and tokens, start to be thinner and thinner. So maybe we need to, as investors, we need to change our mindset in a certain direction, to accept more token versus equity. But sometimes the relationship between risk and reward is not in the favor of reward, is more in the favor of the risk. And what the investors want, they want return on investment. If they want to play smart money, it means that they want to be involved also, but nobody wants to lose the capital at the end of the day, you know? So no matter if it's equity or if they are tokens, first we have to look at the team, at the real business basics potential of the market for the product. Everything else is just a pure hype. And we see all the time startups, okay, what's the next big thing? NFTs. We put NFTs in the deck. Doesn't matter that we don't need a token for our project. We do something on the blockchain, decentralized finance. Let's put that in a deck, one page. Doing this, doing that. So we have to look all the time at the basics and to educate yourself to be in sync with what's new in the market, because it's a mandatory thing, both for us and the investors we are working with, if we are investing their money and not ours.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Arjun, for sharing your insights. Even you look like to be in a very noisy space, but thanks for sharing that. I have a legal question to Dr. Shrikant. I mean, obviously, because you're a lawyer. So when it comes to considering Bitcoin as a legal tender, I'm reading out, the EU has passed no specific legislation relative to status of Bitcoin as a currency, but has stated that VAT GST is not applicable to the conversion between traditional fiat currency and Bitcoin. And El Salvador made Bitcoin a legal tender. So what does that mean? When Bitcoin becomes a legal tender, what does that mean to a common person, right?
It means a lot to the common person. Dominic, I hope you can hear me loud and clear right now. Very well. Thank you. So it means a lot to the common man, the common person, primarily because the inflation that I was talking about. We are talking about a democratic system where an utopian system where everyone can take a share of everything. It was more of a crowdfunding that we saw a few years back, and I was privy to that crowdfunding mania that occurred about 4-5 years back. So the point I'm trying to make over here is, you asked me a question about legal, which I'm going to address in about a minute or so. What it means to the common man is that the legal tender that she or he is carrying in her pocket is going to be not worth anything. So it is going to, the physical denomination is actually going to disappear. So as much as you can go into your wallets and search for the dollar, or possibly the Benjamin Franklin, or possibly the Mahatma Gandhi in my country at least, you are not going to find it because it doesn't exist anymore. So the wallets do not exist. The only thing that exists is the phone. Now insofar as Bitcoin is concerned, when it becomes a legal tender, it means that you can basically give that as a payment mechanism for the services / goods that you have obtained. Now, imagine a situation, you have received a gallon of milk. Again, I'm going to go to the gallon of milk example, or I'm going to go to a Coca-Cola example. I haven't had a drink of Coke in the past 10 years at least. So I'm going to go with the gallon of milk example. Let's assume that I've bought a gallon of milk, and tomorrow the price of BTC, the tender with which I have bought that gallon of milk, actually goes up from, it rises up. So the Bitcoin value rises up, the investors make a lot of money, there is a lot of celebration. So have you really created value over here? And VAT is basically value added tax. So the legal question that has to be answered over here is, by making a shift between a gallon which is of of milk, which is going to be priced at $1, which is going to now become $1.1 or $1.10, have you really increased the value of the gallon of milk? And insofar as the fiat terms is concerned, you have. But that was a legal question which I believe you were asking, Sunny. I do not know if I've answered to the best of my of the viewers' capabilities. But insofar as the common man is concerned, the common man is obviously unhappy, isn't it? He or she is paying $1.10 for the same gallon of milk which could have been bought at $1 yesterday. So we are looking at a Venezuelan situation over here, which is quite frankly concerning to me, because it is far from being democratic. It is turning out to be a situation where you have the fly-by-night operators who come in and possibly hoard. Imagine your vaccination, which is being priced at $10, which is being the price in India at the moment, at least, the paid vaccination. Imagine the $10 converts into, say, $20 tomorrow. I would certainly be unhappy because I paid it through, not because of the fact that the product itself has improved in value. It's because of the fiat at which I'm paying has actually lost the utility that it has that it used to get. So I'm a bit concerned as an economist, and quite naturally the concern in me as an economist is bringing me the concern as a legal counsel, because legal is based on economics, and you cannot derogate from economics and say that, look, I'm going to accept digital currency. So imagine Jeff Bezos taking the next spacecraft, in which Sunny, Dom, and Adrian are, and of course, if you invite me, I'm going to be there. Imagine you have sold this particular ticket at 1 BTC, and when the journey actually happens, the 1 BTC turns out to be very expensive. It is double the value.
Yeah, I got the point. So does that mean if Bitcoin, other jurisdictions, other countries like India, Cayman Islands, Malta, if they make Bitcoin legal tender, so do you think investors are going to lose interest?
Well, see, it's like if you have the patience to hear me out, I can go on a very different. Fabio has possibly taught me this particular angle of talking like a professor, and I am going to talk like a professor. Unfortunately, Dom, I'm really sorry, and Adrian, I'm really sorry. What I'm trying to say over here is, a country becomes a country when 2 people recognize it, or 5 people recognize it as a country. So if Malta is going to recognize Bitcoin as a legal tender, you need to have some other party buying that particular coin, and if that party says F off, I'm sorry for my French over here, and give me $1, you give me USD, then we are in a situation, aren't we?
Okay, yeah, sure. I got it. Thank you, Dr. Shrikant, for nicely explaining that to all our viewers. So, Dom, I've got a question. So, what was the driving force behind increased investments into crypto this year in 2021, in early 2021? So, is it because of the diversification of the crypto space? We have DeFi, we have NFT. Before it was Bitcoin, and it was altcoins, and it was all that. But now we have different other asset classes which are based on blockchain technology, decentralized finance, obviously being one of them. Then we have NFTs, which are making a lot of noise, but are something that I really, how to put it, I'm not an investor of NFT yet, but if given a chance, I would love to, as soon as I find a space to invest in. So, Dom, is it because of these new sort of concepts built around using the benefits that a decentralized ledger or a blockchain technology provides? Is it because of that this all the VCs and institutional players are coming into investing into the space?
Yeah, the way that I look at it, Bitcoin and Ethereum are really what I call the key platform, the foundational platform. And then you've obviously got verticals on that platform like DeFi, for example, which, as we know, is growing. The emerging new vertical, again, is NFTs that you've just touched on as well. I mean, NFTs, I don't know if people remember CryptoKitties back in, I think it was like late 2017, early 2018. They've been around for a while, but it took a little while for it to gain some momentum. But what each of these does is actually provide a much bigger market opportunity. And my view is, and just to touch on the whole NFT space, and I'm an investor in a number of NFT platforms that actually try and simplify the whole NFT creation as well as the monetization aspect. Because I don't know how many people have tried it. It's not a literally point and click. It's a point and click many times, and you've got to actually know what you're doing to basically make it work. And my view with NFTs are we've seen significant investment into numerous technology platforms or marketplaces. I'm less concerned with some of the, I'm going to say, crazy valuations paid for certain NFTs. Frankly, I think it's some crypto millionaires and billionaires that like to, I'm not going to say waste money, but basically, spend money because they've got excess cash. So why not buy an NFT for 60 million? But putting that aside, and they're really the outliers, what I think NFTs will really allow the whole industry, the creative industry, to do is to actually create a brand new revenue stream. And for the viewers out there that are not aware with, I guess, some of the power of the NFTs, it allows creators to produce content, audio, video, or a hybrid, and then monetize it. And it's obviously recorded on the blockchain. And then when that bit of content or that NFT is resold, the artist or the original creator is able to earn a royalty or an ongoing revenue stream. And so what I think is going to do over the next 5 to 10 years is create this whole new digital renaissance of content. Because as we know, any industry, as soon as there is a new revenue stream or inflow of new monies coming in, it will spur on further creativity and innovation. And so I actually predict that NFTs as an industry will be larger than the DeFi industry because it's mass market. And when will it be mass market? It will be mass market, I think, over the next 7 to 10 years. It's going to take that long. And people will be using the technology without knowing that they're using the technology, where it's ubiquitous. And so we've seen significant investments from VCs into this space. And I actually think that's, once again, we are so embryonic in terms of the development of that particular ecosystem.
Tom, so you said it's only NFTs only work with obviously we have seen a lot of its application in the creative space, creative industry, like as you said, artist and musician and stuff. But what about other sectors? What about real estate? Because I remember somebody was talking about creating an NFT for real estate, somewhere talking about precious stones. So do you see that coming soon in future, or it's already there?
We're still so early in the development. I'm going to come back to the point that I made earlier on around the whole equity tokenized model. In fact, I've got a T-shirt that says #hybrid, purely because I'm actually a big believer of the hybrid model, the yin and the yang. And I actually think we're going to start seeing not only digital NFTs, but effectively the physical equivalent of that NFT, whether it's a house or a piece of jewelry, a unique piece of jewelry, and actually meld the two together. That's actually where I'm most excited, because it takes something that is effectively virtual or digital and creates and basically connects it to something that is physical in the real world. So I think there's use cases that we haven't even thought about yet that this technology allows, which is why more and more money is getting invested into the space. more and more projects are being funded, and it feels like the more serious players are now much more involved in the sector as compared to 2016, 2017, where I think people were seeing it as a quick an opportunity to make a quick dollar. And I think, like building any business, there's no such thing as a quick dollar, in my personal view. And so that, in my view, is good for the industry.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dom. I really appreciate that. And for the viewers as well, who still ask me questions, many questions about NFTs. So, Adrian, coming over to you again. The same question, you can add on to what Dom said. What was the main driving force behind VC investments into crypto space this year?
I see two factors. First one is a natural one, the growing adoption of this industry, and the fact that Coinbase was publicly listed added a lot of credibility to many efforts to add credibility to this industry. And second one, of course, the return on investment based on early investments in projects or early token purchases, seeing so many axes, and also the potential added liquidity, which is very different than the liquidity of investments in the regular startup space, where usually for a few years you can't do much in this respect. So I believe these three were the drivers, and more and more venture capital funds or people or specialists or consultants, they try to understand where this industry is going. And of course, which is the next big thing in this industry after DeFi, after NFTs, which is the I don't know, the newest gem they can discover before anyone else. Sorry
Very
for
right.
the noise. The food court is it was the closest place to the vaccination center without wearing a mask. So sorry for that.
No, it's okay. So hybrid model of investment, Dom and Adrian, it's a new sort of liquidity into the market that is offered to the investors, is making it more and more attractive as an investment tool. So, Dr. Srikanth, over to you. I mean, do you have the same sort of perspectives, or would you like to add on to what Dom and Adrian just mentioned?
I believe at the moment if you ask me a question whether it's an asset class which is reachable, yes. If you ask me a question whether it's an asset class which is quite unique, yes. If you ask me whether it's an asset class which is democratized, no. Unfortunately, I have to differ with Dom over there. I don't think we have reached a point where it is reached an asset class which has been widely recognized as a asset class which can be used with the masses. So I think from that particular standpoint, there are legal issues. There's a quagmire of legal issues to financial to economic issues to the new world order issues. I believe which would be sorted once we are out of this particular pandemic, and once we have more use cases insofar as, and I agree with Dom on that particular instance, which is we have enough use cases to rely upon to make us quite comfortable with using Bitcoin and a regulated Bitcoin, right? At the moment, it is like paying for. I'm sorry, I'm again using the same example. Paying for a gallon of milk with a barrel of oil. These are not comparables at all, right? If you imagine that you are paying a gallon of milk with a barrel of oil, what the price of a barrel of oil would be, then you land up in a soup. So what I'm trying to say over here is let it mature. It takes about 4-5 years to mature. It has already produced the billionaires in India. At least I see 7 billionaires who have been crypto billionaires. And the family offices are often asking me very difficult questions, which is why have I not invested in that, and why didn't you make me a multi-billionaire? So that is something which is being asked me, and that's a answer that I do not have to these family offices. Unfortunately, that answer I would not have for you as well. But let's see where that evolves. Once you have India and China on board, you have effectively democratized. You can say that yes, we have democratized crypto. Is what my point of view would be.
Yeah, I think that those are great points. John, besides those regulatory challenges, Dr. Srikanth just pointed out that it's the big countries, China and India being the most populated countries. As long as they don't massively adopt this asset class, then probably it's not there. What's your perspective? What are the other challenges, obstacles, besides the regulatory challenges that we already know?
Yeah, apart from regulatory challenges, I think the biggest challenges are usability challenges. And I'll come back to my point around NFTs as an example. And that is, today, when you are buying an NFT, you know that you're buying an NFT and you need to know how to use MetaMask. You need to know how to go from fiat to Bitcoin or Ethereum or wrap Bitcoin. You need to understand what gas is. And for the majority of people out there, I've already lost them as soon as I started talking about MetaMask. And so for me, this whole industry, and I understand the doctor's point around democratizing finance. To a degree, it is actually still the domain of the nerds, or at least those that have a degree of technical knowledge. And my view is this industry will be mass market when you are using DeFi or acquiring an NFT and you don't even know the underlying technology that's being used. I mean, we all use a browser and the internet, but we don't go and talk about TCP/IP technology or the fact it's secured by SSL. I mean, the propeller heads like myself like to talk about those things, but from a mass market perspective, the consumer won't care and doesn't care. And so, when we, I guess, as an industry, stop using jargon and try and break it down and make it really simple for consumers to basically buy. For me, my vision around NFTs is, as the doctor was saying, you buy a can of Coke or a milk. You get the milk, you scan it with your QR code, and then on your phone you have an NFT, and you haven't had to do, and it all happens in the background. That's the magic. That's something that, from a user perspective, can be mass market. And we still have a long way to go. And just to kind of, I guess, wrap up my view on all of this is, for those of you that are old enough to remember the dot-com days, where we are today reminds me of 1997. 1997. So Amazon was just born. Google, Facebook, Netflix weren't even born yet. WeChat wasn't born. WhatsApp wasn't born. So we are still so early in the development of the ecosystem. And that's why I'm so excited about this whole opportunity industry, because we as industry players have basically got a blank sheet of paper and we are helping create the future. But my view is, at the same time, we need to always think with the customer in mind. And just coming back to the whole, purpose of today, talking about VCs. And one of the things that is really important for me when obviously investing in people and investing in the company is that the company has a customer first approach. That for me is really important. Unless you're talking about building a company that's very much in the back office and the back end, and that's obviously where the technical nous is important.
Yeah, I think those are very great points. I was trying to relate. I was trying to remember the time when I was sending MMS to my friends and family. Uh, I never thought I'd be able to send videos and pictures and photos, hundreds and thousands of them, without getting charged by my service provider. So yes, we have come a long way, and I remember those days when internet was new, and I was still trying to figure out what is this? Why people are just talking about www, World Wide Web, and all those .com era that started off, you know, 90s. So yeah, I think we've covered most of the topic. I'm just conscious of the time. Adrian, let's take some quick closing thoughts. It's about investments from VCs into the new asset class. It's not new asset class, but it's new for the VCs. So what are your closing thoughts about it?
My closing thoughts are that everybody should try this space and educate themselves, because education is very important both for users and also for investors, because the investment space is developing, new things are appearing, other things become obsolete. The principles are the same. Always a good business will be a good business. Not necessarily all the time the first players will in a field will bring the most revenues and the return on investment. But I would say, don't avoid crypto, don't avoid blockchain, educate yourself and dip your toes while you are still very early in this game. Thank you very much
Absolutely.
for having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adrian, so much. In line with Dom, what just said, no jargons, just education. So, Dom, your closing thoughts?
I think very much with Adrian and the rest of the team. As Nike says, just do it. And I guess for me, on a personal basis, I got involved in the space in 2013. I was reading all the documents, all the white papers, and the way that my brain works is I need to do in order to learn. That's just the way that I'm wired, and I suspect a lot of people, in the world are like that. And so what I did, I bought some mining equipment, I bought some Bitcoin, and that was really my first foray into the industry. I kind of rolled up my sleeves and got my hands dirty and learned. So I kind of use that as education. And if there are people watching this that haven't yet bought Bitcoin or Ethereum or bought their first NFT, give it a try. There's enough good educational content out there that will take you through the process step by step. And just try it, because as soon as I kind of thought it was interesting when I was reading the white papers and kind of immersed, looking at it from the outside, but as soon as I did it, and then I sent a fraction of a Bitcoin to one of my friends, I kind of realized the power and the opportunity of what we're actually sitting on, and we are fortunate to be living through a time and place where we actually have the opportunity to create the future. And my view is, not only will blockchain democratize finance, I think it will end up being a very important part of democracies worldwide.
Dom, on that note, I would like to say, when one of my friend was asking me, oh my God, one BTC is like 60K, when it was 60K, how could you afford it? I said, okay, let me just show you. You can buy $100 worth of BTC as well, right? And that's where we started, and now she is trading. Thank you. Dr. Shrikant, your closing remarks, please.
So I would put it this way. I think, Dom, what you need to really get on board, or who you need to really get on board is the legal advisors, because the moment you start paying legal advisors their fees in Bitcoin, they'll start canvassing your Bitcoin, and you wouldn't have any legal challenge as such. So I'm already under pressure, because like I mentioned earlier, the family offices are asking me as to why I have not made them multi-billion family offices. And I have a very tough question ahead of me as to why I have not done so. So the conservative part of me does not want to invest in Bitcoin, but the lucrative investment opportunities that are available out there is making me rethink that particular position that I had. So I think when I start receiving my fees in Bitcoin, I'll start thinking more about this particular process. And maybe Dom, you could do me a favor and you could send me a Bitcoin just as a sample or a taster to just see how it really works, and then I could return the favor back to you possibly. So that is on a lighter note. So my closing thoughts are these. I see that there are regulatory challenges. I see there are economic challenges that are available, or I would say open questions that are left for Bitcoin solution providers to actually answer. So get stakeholders on board, and once you have stakeholders on board, it's easy to democratize it. And the reason why I used to pay about $100 for a GB of data. Now imagine what the world has come to, right? $100 for a GB of data is just too much. So what I'm trying to say over here is we have taken 20 years to reach here. I don't think we'll take more time to reach a position where Bitcoin will be a legal tender, insofar as it can check all the boxes, regulatory, economic, legal, and so on and so forth. So I mean, identify your stakeholders, and once you've identified your stakeholders, I think the first stakeholder is to start paying the government in bitcoins, and not these Ponzi scheme makers, and start paying the legal counsels their fees in Bitcoin. And I believe with the no response from Dom, I believe he's sending his Bitcoin, one Bitcoin to me as a taster.
Well, I do not know about that, Dom. So you are on spotlight now. Are you going to send one Bitcoin to Dr. Shikant?
We can take that offline.
Yes.
Fantastic. It was great to be on the program, and looking forward to the next one. And well done, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Dom, Dr. Shikant, Adrian, and viewers of VCTV. I'll be back again on another episode, another topic, and new set of speakers. So then keep watching VCTV and take care of yourself. And bye-bye.
Ciao.
Thank you, Sunny. It was a pleasure. Bye-bye.